Hey everybody, this video is going to be on the female experience in Army basic training. I know that when I enlisted in the military in 2010, I knew nobody that was a female in the military at all. Didn't have anybody to turn to with all those questions that you have before you leave for basic training, from as simple as what kind of underwear do I wear to how much time do I have to get ready, just little questions like that. So I wanted to make a quick video just explaining my experience at basic training, and hopefully if you are considering the military or if you are already leaving for basic training at some point, you can kind of get a better understanding. And if you have any questions besides what I talk about in the video, you can feel free to either tweet them to me on Twitter, and I'll link my Twitter username below, or you can leave them in the comments below and I can do a question and answer video at some point answering everybody's questions. But because I have so much to talk about, I may talk a little bit fast just so I can fit everything in. But like it said, I am in the military. I'm in the Army Reserves. I'm in the National Guard, which is a reserve component of the actual Army. I went to basic training with everybody else that's active duty Army. It's one basic training for the Army, and that's at, well, there's tons of different places, but I went to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. I had so much fun at basic training, so I'm just going to preface that my experience, not the same as everybody else's. As a female, it's a little bit different going through basic training because I don't really know. I feel like a lot of females take things personally and don't have the mental toughness that males have. I didn't, that's for sure, but I just learned to deal with it and to cope. So it made me a better person, and I'm so glad I did it. It was a fantastic experience. But starting off with reception. Reception are the first 3 days of basic training, and that's when you do all your in-processing. You don't have drill sergeants yet, so you kind of are eased a little bit into the military life. You get all your shots, inoculations, you get medical exams, you get issued your uniforms, all the paperwork. Everything's done in the first 3 to 4 days. Sometimes it's longer for some people. It just depends. You don't sleep much. That's your first initial realization that, oh my God, I'm not at home. I'm not around my family. I am homesick. Everybody feels so homesick and so just exhausted. Everybody's going through the same thing though. There's just tons of soldiers around you, and it's freaky, but you just kind of learn to make friends with the people around you. That's my biggest piece of advice to you, is use your connections with everybody around you to get through it. I made some incredible friends, and they were the reason I made it through basic training. There were days where I wanted to quit. There were days that I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And there's no quitting in basic training. You can't just say, I quit, I'm going home. It doesn't work that way. You signed a contract. If there's a medical emergency and you have to get sent home, that's different. A lot of people claim the crazy card where they said, oh, I'm going to kill myself. Don't do that. That's the biggest mistake you could ever make, because you just end up staying even longer. They put you in a mental institution. I don't know. I've heard terrible stories about people who tried to pull the crazy card, and I know there are people that I started off at in basic training and they didn't make it all the way through, and they are embarrassed, and it's just something that doesn't look good. So if you're not ready to join the military, then don't sign up, don't enlist, because you're just going to hurt yourself in the end. It looks terrible to future employers that you dropped out during basic training in the military. It looks like you can't handle things, but that's besides the point. So after reception, after those first initial couple days, you are sent to meet your drill sergeants. So you're divided into platoons, which are like, I think my platoon had like 40 something soldiers in it. So you're divided into platoons, and you have something called shark attack, where your drill sergeants basically scare the living blah 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 out of you, because they want to intimidate you and kind of make you fear them a little bit, because that's what they need in order to teach you. So every platoon should at least have a female drill sergeant. Honestly, in my opinion, I prefer the male drill sergeants, because the female ones seem like they have something to prove. And I don't know if it's true for all female drill sergeants, but they seem to be a little bit tougher, a little bit meaner, and a little bit more catty. I prefer the male drill sergeants, but There was one female drill sergeant that I absolutely respect and adore, and she was just the most amazing human being ever, and everybody loved her to death. But in a respectful way, not like I want to be her friend way. She was just a model soldier, and we all aspired to be just like her, which is fantastic. So when you first get to basic training at your actual site, you're divided up into bays, which are these big long rooms with a bunch of bunk beds, and you're assigned to a bunkmate. My bunkmate had a similar last name to me, which is kind of cool, and you start to make your friends right away. So you see whose bunk's around you, and you just say, where are you from, and talk to people, because those are the people that you're going to be relying on for the next 10 weeks. Those are your friends, your family, everything. Basic training was hard because a lot of females, in my opinion, take things personally, and that's something you cannot do. You have to get over that, because I remember my first day, we were headed to the chow line, which is like the line when you wait to get your food. And I made the mistake of looking at a drill sergeant in the eyes. You're not allowed to do that. And he came up to me like this close to my face and started yelling at me. Hey, Private, what are you doing? Like, why are you looking at me? Am I pretty or something? I wanted to start crying. I was so freaked out. I didn't know what to do. It was like my first real day in the Army. And something in me just kind of sucked it up, and I just took my pride and my humility, and I just looked down and just kind of took it. I just let him yell at me, because that's what you have to do. You get broken down, and then you get built right back up by the military. You do a lot of push-ups, you do a lot of exercising, but think of it this way. You're going to be in the best shape of your life after basic training. I was in the most amazing shape. You work out every morning except for Sunday mornings. So you wake up about 5:30 in the morning. You take your shower really fast, or you could take that at night before you go to bed. Showers are quick. Showers are cold. You have no sense of, like, I don't know what to describe it as, but you shower in a room full of girls. So if you are embarrassed about your body, you better get over it, because you learn to deal with it, and it becomes less and less and less of an issue, which to the point where you don't even realize that you're doing it anymore after a while. So you work out in the mornings. It's usually like half an hour to 45 minutes to an hour. It just depends on the day of the week. You run a couple days a week. You do like pull-ups, which you don't actually, as a female or even as a male, you never have to do them completely yourself. You can have someone assist you, but you try to work up to being able to do them yourself. There's days when you do push-ups and sit-ups. There's just tons of different days where you do different types of exercises, and they're awesome. Don't try and like skip out of them or pretend like you're hurt, because it's going to make your experience worse. You have to pass a PT test in order to graduate, which at this current time, but they're changing the standards, you have to run 2 miles, and you have to do as many push-ups as you can in 1 or 2 minutes, and as many sit-ups as you can do in 2 minutes. But you have to pass it in order to graduate. There's standards based on your age and your gender as well. So other things about basic training, I'm trying to just talk about them as quick as possible. There's 3 phases. The first phase is red phase. It's your toughest mentally. It's where you're breaking down, and then they start to build you back up in the white and the blue phase. The white phase is the toughest, in my opinion, physically. You also do a lot of shooting with your weapon. You carry around an M16 rifle, and my hands are flying around as I pretend to hold my rifle. But you carry around an M16 rifle with you at all times. It's your baby. It sleeps with you at night. You carry it around wherever you go. You have it with you, even at PT in the morning. So you learn to shoot, which is so much fun. Just think of it this way. People pay to go to the range. People pay to go to a gym, and you're getting paid by the Army to do these things. If you think about it that way, and if you think about it like a social event, and it's summer camp kind of, it's a lot easier. Obviously, it's not summer camp, and you're wearing an Army uniform, and they're mean to you, but if you just try to use that mentality, it's easier to get through. Other things, and I wrote stuff down, so I might be looking over there, but phone calls. People always ask me, well, how often do you get to talk to home? I got 3 phone calls in basic training, and they were all like a total of maybe 10 minutes long, which is really good. You learn to love and to live off of letters from home. There is nothing that meant more to me in basic training than receiving a package from home with Kleenex, chapstick, some cough drops, maybe a couple pictures from home. You just learn to love those things, and it's nice to appreciate the simple pleasures. You don't have to worry about the drama of who's hooking up with who on Facebook and what celebrity is tweeting about this. You just don't care about the real world. It's like this fake little isolated world, and I loved it. I would go back to basic training tomorrow if you could send me, but you can't. Other things, eating. Your eating habits change. You learn to shovel your food in really fast. I used to get made fun of by the drill sergeants because I eat really slow. So they used to say, "What are you doing, Private? We're not at the old country buffet." It was so funny. I'd cross my legs, which you're not allowed to do. I'd cross my legs and I would eat. I would eat my food just like kind of normal. And I would always strategically sit at certain tables that I knew most of the people like just sat down to eat at, because I felt like I got more time, because usually if the people around you are starting to stand up that they're done, that means that you have to be done too. So I used to eat so slow, I'd get yelled at all the time. I also got in trouble almost every single day for smiling too much, which if you can tell by any of my videos, I smile way too much. So that's one thing. You have to be very serious at basic training. There's times to joke around, but there's times that you have to be super serious. And that was hard for me because I have a generally positive mentality, and it's hard to frown. It's my face. I can't frown, but whatever. I made it through. I graduated. Let's see, the ratio, for my basic training, I want to say it was like 5 males to every 1 female. And yes, there's a lot of like chit chat between the girls and the guys. You can't pass notes. You're not there to date anybody. I made the mistake of kind of having a crush on a guy, which I'm not even going to talk about. But don't do it. It's a bad idea. They really do frown upon any sort of male-females fraternizing, it's what they call it. So you really are kind of separated from the males, but you're right next to them. You do everything. You go through the obstacle courses, you shoot with them. You're next to them at all times. It's not like females and males are separated into 2 different areas. It's all combined. Let's see what else. You get a lot of sleep. I got a ton of sleep. You get almost 8 hours of sleep every day if you're good. If your platoon misbehaves, you may have to be woken up in the middle of the night to do push-ups or whatever. I just behave and don't do anything stupid. That's the basic thing. If you get sick, you get taken care of. If something happens at home, your family can always call the Red Cross number and they can get a hold of you at basic training. But the biggest thing is you're doing something great for your country. I would never want to take back my experience in the military for $1 million. I absolutely am so glad I changed as a person. I became a lot more resilient and tough, and I learned to take criticism a lot better. And I learned so much about myself joining the military. It's really an eye-opening experience, and I'm the girliest girl in the world, and if I could do it, anybody can. I had my mom sneak me in one of my packages tinted moisturizer when I was at basic training and flavor chapsticks. Those were my favorite. On my last day, so your family can attend your graduation, and then there's something called Family Day, which is the day before graduation, where you could stay on base with your family. And we went to the PX, which is like I don't know, it's like a big store, basically. It's kind of like a Kmart or something, but it's on every military base. And my parents took me to the PX, and I bought an eyelash curler because you couldn't wear makeup even to your graduation. My parents bought me an eyelash curler, and I just felt so amazing using that one little luxury. It's cool. You appreciate the smallest things. You appreciate little luxuries like getting your phone for 2 minutes, or getting a letter in the mail that has a picture, and it's such a simple life. I thought it was awesome. Again, it's all mental. If the physical stuff, the Army is honestly not that hard. I was not in shape when I first joined, and I was whipped into shape, and now I'm slowly losing my in shape, but I'm gonna get back into it. But it's awesome. I loved it. There are tons of different places you can go to basic training. I think there's 5 locations that females can go to. Fort Jackson just happened to be the one that I got assigned to. I don't really know what the rhyme or reason is for choosing where people go to basic training. After basic training, I got shipped directly to Fort Huachuca, which is in Arizona on the Mexico border. Everybody gets split up and sent different places after that. But you usually know where you're going after basic training. You'll know before you leave, so you can tell your family, hey, after basic training, after I graduate, I'm going here. And you get a lot more freedoms after you graduate basic training, which I will talk about in an entirely different video because I'm running out of time. But if you have any questions for me, anything you want answered, feel free, like I said, tweet me on Twitter and I will answer your questions, or you can leave me a comment below and I will make a question and answer video answering everybody's questions. I hope everybody enjoys this video and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye.